$25 a month, $75 a quarter, something like that. But you have to pay something. If you refuse, well, then they may not offer you earn time credits. That doesn't look good at all. The next thing you have to do is that you need to be able to prove, you need to start documenting all that you do. And so there are several points that I think are important to cover. You probably haven't prepared for this, and so I'll be mentioning preparation several times throughout this YouTube, and I've mentioned it multiple times on other YouTubes and definitely multiple times on podcasts and through the website. Preparation is very big, mostly because I had none. There should be a contact person, hopefully at home or outside of the BOP. And part of what they're going to do is they're going to be from Amazon sending you the following: a journal, which has lined paper in it, and then either watermark printed words via a watermark on every page, which has inspirational writings, and it can be sports, religious, scientific, life skills, quotes from famous people, anything like that. It doesn't matter, but blank pages will not be allowed in. Then also spread out among family and friends. You should have books, nonfiction books, 2 to 3 books a month sent to you that you can begin reading. And the purpose is as follows. When you are offered the First Step Back programs to take, you should be, as you take the programs, as you come out every day, you should write into the journal the day you took, the day, the date, the time you took the program, who taught it, and what you learned from it that day. Now, some programs may run for several weeks or several months. At the end of the program, thank the case manager or counselor for in their first name for suggesting or recommending that you took it because you learned ABC. You learned this from it. I know you're the smartest person in the room. Doesn't matter. To them, you're just guilty and you have committed a crime. And so they're trying to help you reduce your criminogenic needs. You don't think you have any, but it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what your family thinks. It just matters what your case manager thinks. And so thank them. When you're going to be picking out 2 to 3 books to be mailed to you each month for the number of months you're going to be in prison, spread out among family and friends. And they can be on a range of topics that interest you. It can be biography, it can be history, it can be science, it can be life skills, learning. Um, I have a list here because I keep running out of things to say right here. It can be um, 4 Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom, how great leaders inspire people. I'm reading this one now, Splendid and the Violet Saga of Churchill during the Blitz. Um, I've read Zen in the Outright Motorcycle Maintenance, History of Black History Between the Lies, Dick Gregory. There's a lot of why Cageberg sings, Rich Men in Babylon, anything at all. But you want to be reading and then writing what you're reading about and what you're learning from each book. And so that you're going to log the class that you're taking and the day, date, time, the teacher that taught it, and what you learned. Then you're going to every day, and then you're going to write the day, date, and the chapter and what you read and your takeaway from what you read, no matter what it is, and the author of the book. And you are going to keep a record of all of this every day. And at the end of each week, you're going to send this home. And then when you go in to meet your case manager, and again, today is May 30, 2023. So let's say your next meeting with your case manager is January 30, 2024. And your case manager says that we have a note here that in May, this past May, you missed a couple of your First Step Back classes that we told you to go to. And you're going to say, I signed in. And they're going to say, well, we don't know it was you. I mean, you didn't go. What are you going to do? And so what are you going to do? So what we have here, why do all this writing? Well, I call it insurance. Why in life, we have life insurance, health insurance, auto insurance, and you hope you don't need it until you do. This is the example. What happens 6 months in, the BOP records show that you missed a couple classes and you have no paper trail. But you do. You have in this journal you've kept, you took copies of those pages, you brought them in. You couldn't have faked the records because you have every day. First there's the class, then there's the book you were reading, then there's the next class, then there's the next chapter, then the next class, then the next chapter. And so, but if you don't have that, all of a sudden you're kicked out of the First Step Act or you made to start over. There's not really much you can do, but wish you had some sort of insurance. And so that's why that's one of the big reason. It's not the most important reason, but you're also once a week typing and sending your takeaways home that someone at home who has started, it can start on as a not as a blog on the net, but a blog at home, just for your records of everything that you're doing. You don't know what you're going to do with it later. But as of now, through the First Step Act, you've dropped from, let's say, 11 years down to 8.35. RDAP, which is the drug program. But in order to get RDAP, you have to have some sort of substance abuse within the 12 months prior to your arrest. That could be over-the-counter abuse, prescriptions, legal or illegal. It could be gambling. So regarding Elizabeth, was the pursuit of this unique laboratory blood testing quest something similar to gambling, something to think about? I don't know. That's something for Elizabeth to think about. She has a lot of time. Did she have therapy for anything? Was there anything that she was doing at home that she did not tell her attorneys? Anything at all? Because if there was, then her attorneys need to get to work. She can't make things up, but they can speak to if there was therapy sessions or anything at all and begin to look into what they can do. They can't reopen the pre-sentence report, but they can begin to get records together and at least speak to the attorney or speak to a mitigation specialist or talk to me or talk to someone else and begin to do something with those records so they don't collect dust. Now we're getting into something that I think is more important because it's never too late. Have they discussed with her the narrative or the release plan? It's never too late. So we're going to talk about the narrative and release plan now. And this is what I have gone ahead. I wrote this for LinkedIn. Personal narrative is writing your story. So what does that mean? It's for, so right now, before, you didn't write the narrative or if Elizabeth Holmes did not write a narrative, the Department of Justice did. It's called her indictment. Nike has their narrative. It's their brand. Just do it. They have it written all over their sneakers and advertising on TV. Tesla, they have their narrative. They show it all the time for their car on YouTube's. SpaceX, he's very good with his narratives. So writing your story through a narrative tells the judge, or in this point, whomever, what you did, how you came to this point in your life. This is an arduous, self-reflective experience. But now she's going to not tell a judge. She pretty much has to tell it's this introspective experience that she's going to have to go through on her own, to herself. This is her autobiography of herself and those around her, the good, the bad, and the ugly. She can't enlist anyone else to do it with her, help her mitigate, this particular experience, but it requires 100% of her participation. And it has to include everything from her childhood. Are there siblings? What did she do? What did her parents do? Was she, are the brothers, sisters, adopted, not adopted? Their parents, did they work, not work? Did they expect too much of her? What was her childhood like? High school like? How did you get involved with this particular venture? What was her involvement? Was her involvement day to day with all of the operations, or did she farm out some of the operations to other individuals? And mind you, she's responsible for what the buck stops with her. It's her company. So even though she gave the responsibility to other people, it's still her company. And so even though she gave the responsibilities out, this is still her business. And she's responsible for what everyone else did.